Hello, I'm Debbie Russ with the BBC News. The Sudanese Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok has announced his resignation just 6 weeks after he was reinstated in a controversial deal with the military. In a televised address, Mr Hamdok said a new roundtable process was needed to reignite Sudan's transition to democratic civilian rule.
I
have done my best to spare our country falling off the cliff. Our nation is now at a serious juncture that might jeopardize its very survival if not tackled as a matter of urgency. I have not managed to bring about concord or peace. Therefore, I have decided to resign as Prime Minister, making way for someone else to lead the country through this transition period towards a democratic civilian state.
Mr Hamdok was speaking after security forces shot dead 2 people during demonstrations in the city of Omdurman. The Tunisian Ennahda party says its detained vice president, Noureddine Bouheri, has been transferred to a hospital in a serious condition. Yusuf Taha reports.
The moderate Islamist party said on Friday that Mr. Bouheri had been seized outside his house by the security forces and taken to unknown location. He is the first senior Ennahda official to be detained since President Kais Saied dismissed parliament and took over the powers of government in July. Ennahda has denounced the move as a coup. The party says it is holding President Saied and his interior minister responsible for Mr. Bouheri's safety and well-being. Earlier, the Speaker of the suspended parliament urged the president to reveal the whereabouts and condition of Mr. Bouheri. There has been no independent confirmation of his condition. Since the Tunisian revolution in 2011, Ennahda has played a major role in the government.
A coalition of Mali's main political parties has rejected a proposal by the country's military government for a 5-year transition to civilian rule. The army, which took power in a coup in August 2020, had previously committed to holding democratic elections in February. Guatemalan security forces have clashed with indigenous villagers in the southwestern municipality of Nahuala, where there was a massacre 2 weeks ago. Leonardo Rocha reports.
Local media say protesters used firebombs, machetes, firearms and stones against the National Civil Police and the army, who responded with tear gas. 7 officers are reported to have been injured. The Guatemalan security forces were deployed in the area in December after the people of Nahuala attacked a neighboring village and killed 13 people, including 3 children. The violence is part of an old land dispute between indigenous groups that have lived in the region for centuries. President Alejandro Yamatei declared a 30-day state of siege in the villages involved, which is likely to be extended as tensions remain high in the area.
World News from the BBC. Twitter has permanently suspended the account of the Republican US Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. The platform said she'd repeatedly violated Twitter's policy on misinformation about COVID-19. Ms. Taylor Greene said Twitter was an enemy of America, adding that big tech and communist Democrats, as she called them, couldn't stop the truth. A senior Republican senator in the United States has said it seems very likely that Russia will invade Ukraine unless major sanctions are imposed to deter it. Adam Schiff, who chairs the US House Intelligence Committee, warned that any invasion could backfire on Moscow by pushing countries closer to the NATO alliance. In the last month, Russia has been massing troops on its border with Ukraine. Football supporters in England have been allowed to legally stand at a top-flight match for the first time in nearly 20 years. The ban on standing was introduced after a fatal crush during a match at Hillsborough Stadium in Sheffield in 1989 killed almost 100 people. Laura Scott was at Sunday's Chelsea and Liverpool match at Stamford Bridge Stadium.
It's always an important game when Chelsea play Liverpool, but today's fixture took on even greater significance, marking the first time since 1994 that fans have been allowed to stand for the full 90 minutes of a top-flight game. In reality, many supporters have been persistently standing for a number of years, but have done so against the law. Those behind the pilot programme, which involves 3 other Premier League clubs and the Championship side Cardiff City, say that this isn't a return to terracing and can be done safely.
The Kenyan paleoanthropologist and conservationist Richard Leakey, renowned for his extensive fossil discoveries that shed light on human evolution, has died, aged 77. The son of 2 leading anthropologists, some of his most important work was in Ethiopia, where he discovered stone tools and early human fossils. BBC News.